Hello there, it's Kim again, coming to you with another paper crafting video. We're working on the advent calendar today, the Stampin' Up advent calendar. My name is Kim. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based out of the Okanagan, British Columbia, Canada. And today is day 2. So I'm going to come and open this up. Let's see what we got. Where is number 2? Looks like it's right here. Okay. I'm going to crack this baby open and see what we got here. Trying to open up this perforation nicely. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Okay. So today we have some paper. And then yesterday I'm going to pull open number 1 again. And we'll pull that open. We got some die cuts. So that was yesterday. I'm going to pull those out. And pull out number 2, which is some DSP. Now, it doesn't look like it's double-sided though. So that's a little different for them. Not double-sided, but we're getting 2 sheets each of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 10 designs to each, so 20 sheets of designer series paper to play with. I said again, it was only one-sided, not double-sided, and it looks like we have kind of like A design and then a more textured B design. So an A design, I would say this one's even more A design, and then B, and then an A or more busy design, and then a more neutral. Yeah, okay. So this is what we have for day number 2. So let's play. Let's play with day number 2. Okay. So we also, with this set, get our stamp set. So we get a stamp set with this, and then we get some die cuts. So yesterday I went through the die cuts. If you'd like to see those closer, have a look at yesterday's video. But I think we will be using some of the stamps today. And then I want to use some of this paper today because we got this paper. So why not use a little wee tad bit? And, what can we do with a 6x6 sheet that's kind of fun? Let's do maybe a block design. So I am going to pull in this and this. Let's do that. There's a lot of pink in that one. Or I could pull in this one. No, let's use those 2. I'm going to use white paper like I did yesterday. I think we could do something pretty easy and fun with this. So I'm going to pull in a white sheet of paper. And then so just a white sheet of paper to make a nice card. And then I've got all my stamp colors that were pulled in, except for Basic Beige. I didn't pull in Basic Beige, but I got Fleur de Flamingo, Crushed Curry, Secret Sea, Old Olive, and Misty Moonlight. We'll pull those in again. We will pull in some stamps. Yep, I think I've got an idea. Of something that I can do. Okay, so we're going to cut a card. We'll do this one 5.5 by 8.5. Okay. And then we're going to score this at 4.25. Okay, and that's going to make a basic card. So I'll fold that in half. Pull in my bone folder. I'll just fold that. And then now we've got this lovely paper. So I'm thinking we could do something fun here. Let's cut this to 5. That way we'll have an extra inch on the end. 5 inch. We can keep that for another card. And then 5 inch. And then let's cut it. Let's do 1.5. Let's try and get a little bit more pink in there. So I'm going to cut off 1/2 inch off this edge, 1/2 inch off this, and then we're going to go 1.5 for the pink. We'll go 1.5 of paint, this one, 1.5 here. Let's do that. 1/2 inch, so we'll do this piece of paper at 5 again. So we've got the same length, right? And then we'll go this one at should I go 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch? So let's say that's 1 inch. I'm just doing this on the fly, guys, right? Three-quarters of an inch. So if I was to do this 5 by 3 3/4, I've got 1.5. 3 3/4 is going to give me. So if I did another strip, that is 2 inches. No. So 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/4 inch. 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/4 inch. So we'll do 3/4 of an inch here, and then 1 1/4 inch here. 1 1/4 inch. Looking good. Okay. Now lots of paper still left, right? Got some good colors now. So 1 1/4 inch, I put that here, and then I put 1 1/2 inch here with a little space in between, and then 3/4 of an inch here. And I'm showing some really fun paper. That's looking really nice. Be even better if I had it like a different base color, I think. Should I bring in a different base color? Instead of just this plain, we could add cardstock today just to make it a little more fun. But yeah, so then I would grab a scrap. Now I could cut that off of my other piece, or I could grab a scrap here and do that instead. So I will do that instead. I will grab a scrap here, and then I can use that to go across the front, or what else could I do? These are not really conducive to cutting a shape, so maybe I'll just do a piece here, and I could do one that just says thinking of you. Again, we're doing this on the fly today. We've got our lovely stamp set here, so I'm just going to put thinking of you, which should fit. Oh no, these ones are 80% of the image. Okay, so let's pull out the actual stamp set so that we can see if everything will fit. Thinking of you is a little bit big for that. Birthday wishes fit really great yesterday, but we're going to try something new today. Big thanks. What if I did one that's quite a bit bigger? And I just do big thanks. Big thanks right in the middle there. That could be fun. And what color do I want to do that in? Do I do the bright pink, or do I pull in maybe Secret Sea? Did I use that yesterday? I used Misty Moonlight yesterday. So maybe pulling in Secret Sea could be really great. And then let's do that fun thing where we pull in a color of cardstock. So I'm just going to go and grab a piece of Flirty Flamingo. Back in 1 second. Okay, flirty flamingo. Flirty flamingo. Let's bring that over. And what do we think about that? Because if we do a little bit flirty flamingo base, that could be extra fun, right? So if we go like this, then our card would look kind of like that, some skinnier lines, right? But that would look really pretty, I think. Yeah. Or, yeah, and then we use Secret C to put our sentiment on. Big thanks. Yeah. You know what? And then I'm going to flag the ends. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So let's do that. We're going to change this base to 5.5 by 8.5. Like we did already. 5.5 by 8.5. And then we're going to do our score, 4.25. 4.25. So this is just a way where you just take strips of DSP and you just lay them down and they create their own focal point. So then I'm going to cut this at 5 1/8. Sorry, I didn't do that on camera. So let's do this one 5 1/8, 3 3/4. I'm going to add 3 3/4. Let's do 3 7/8. 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And if I don't like that size, I can just bump it up another 1/8 of an inch, right? Okay. Let's do this now. So we've got this piece here. We've got this piece in the middle, right? And then we've got this piece here. So far, that is looking really nice. Then, if I do Secret C, I could take this Secret C. I'm going to stamp my big thanks on this little strip, this little extra strip that I have. Let's pull in our D block. And we will stamp away. Pull in our D block. Do a little cleaning of that just to get that residue off. We will clean it over here on our stamp and scrub. And then let's just put our big thanks. I feel like I might have moved that a little bit. Photopolymer is flexible so it can move, which makes it a little tricky to use sometimes. Okay. There we go. I've got my big thanks on there. Big thanks. We'll stamp that on there. That looks really good. Put that aside to be cleaned. Put back with our stamp set. Big thanks. And then, because of course I have this lovely stamp set, I could just place a couple of little flowers. A couple of little flowers on there. Maybe. We've got these tiny little flowers. Let's put a couple of those on there. Just as a little fun extra add-on. And here we go. I'm going to do that in the pink, just to tie in that flirty flamingo a bit more. I'm just going to put a couple of little flowers on there, going off the edge. Can make it a little extra fun. Oh, I messed that up. It's okay. Okay. There we go. Got some big thanks on there. I don't know, is that too busy? That might be a little too busy. That might be a little too busy. I think I got a little overzealous on that. Let's not do that. I was trying to make it a little bit more, and I think I just went a little too much. Okay, I take that one off, put the big thanks back on, and let's redo that. Let's redo that big thanks. It was fine the way it was. I just got a little too excited about that one. Okay, so let's do big thanks again. That looks great just the way it is. All right, and then I'm going to bring in my paper snips, and I'm going to flag the ends. So the way you flag the ends is you take your pair of scissors and you cut it to the end of where you want your flag to be. Then you go in from the ends. Now, I want this to be straight, so I'm going to cut these a little bit shorter. Then you're going to go in from the ends into the center of that cut. It's the easiest way to make a symmetrical flagging on your piece of paper. So if I did that, and I did that on both ends, that could be pretty great. I think that could be pretty great. So I'm just going to measure. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So that was approximately 1/2 inch from the end of where the stamp is. So if I go about 1/2 inch from the beginning of the stamp, cutting here, 1/2 inch. There we go. I'm going to do that same thing, that flagging. So right down the center till I'm about 1/8 inch from there. And then I'm going to cut from the ends points into that flagged area. Okay. Now, if I had some twine, I would add a lovely little bow to this. But I don't have any twine yet, so I'm just using cardstock, stamp colors, and then the paper from today. So let's adhere all these pieces to here now that we've decided that we like this. So I could do this, and this. I don't like that as much. I like it split up. So I'm going to add this to my lovely matting. So I'm going to line up the 2 points even spacing. So we're just going to make sure that we have even spacing on there. Then I'm going to take this piece and line it up. Same way, I'm going to go to those corners, and then I'll place the middle piece in last just to keep it nice and even spacing. So this one here, I'm going to place there and there. Looking good. And then this last one we're going to place there. Now, do I want to have this big flower at the bottom? Looks like the flowers are directional a bit, so I'm going to actually put that big flower up at the top. It looks like most of the flowers are going upward in that direction. Okay, so then I just take up the center space. I evenly space in the center rather than trying so hard to get everything super tight that way. So there we go. Now we've got even spacing there. Now I can pop this up on dimensionals. We can add our big thanks in the center. And that's a fairly simple card. But of course I do have all those lovely stamps. And I have those die cuts. So, you know, we could punch a couple of die cuts out. Let's see, what do we have? I could put like a pretty pink flower on there, just underneath. We could pop that up. I could grab a couple of the little sprigs. These are our die cuts, so if you want to see what we're working with here. I've got a little butterfly I could use. Wouldn't that be cute? Put a little butterfly on there, just right underneath, right like that. That could be really cute. You know what? Maybe that's what I'll do. I will grab some of this color, and then I will put a little butterfly across the front here. I've got a couple of butterflies we can use. I think that's what I'll do. The other thing I could do is take this sprig and have a couple of sprigs coming out of the bottom here. I think the butterflies could be really cute on this. So I'm going to go grab a scrap. Rather than cut up a whole piece, it's best to just grab a scrap and we can just use that. Okay, let's pull in our mini boss here. And because it goes through the mini boss, I'm going to need to cut it down a little bit so it fits in. That's fine. We're just using it for scraps anyway, so no big deal. So let's grab that little butterfly we saw. Have a look at what that looks like when I cut it out. So we're going to put our number 1 plate, a cutting plate on the bottom, our piece of paper here, our butterfly, and we're just going to cut one out and see what we think. So waiting for it to pinch, and then we wait for it to grab. It's grabbing. It's got to get it to run through. Come on. Of course, it's going to cause me grief. I do have a bit of stuff underneath sliding around, so let's get that on solid ground. Let's get that on a solid ground. Come on. Number 1 plate, piece of paper, butterfly. Normally I put Post-it notes, but I've got a lot of space to push it. Maybe it was my paper was too big. Okay, got it grabbing. I don't know what happened. It's working now, so let's run that through. It's going to shake the camera a little bit. Run the 1 through. And let's have a look at that little butterfly. Is that ever cute? Okay, I think I might need more than one. I think I might need more than one butterfly on here because they're just way too stinking cute. And they kind of add a bit of fun to the front. Yep, gonna have to have more than one. So I'm gonna run it through again. I think I'll make 3 little butterflies. 1, so I've got my 1 there. Grab another one here. Run that through. I didn't sandwich it perfect, Ian. She's giving me grief. Put that back on like that. Give it a little sandwich. Run that through. I'm just going to pull it back because I'm going to do another one. Pop that one off with my scissors. Get that out of there. And then I'm going to do a 3rd one. Rule of thirds, right? Rule of odds. If you have things in 3, really any art, divide it by 3. Divide your spaces visually by 3. 3 things or odd numbers are kind of your best bet visually. Let's get that sandwich again. Sometimes the machine just has a hard time with that first grab. Okay. And we've got it. Alrighty. Let's shimmy that through. And then we are going to put this aside. We don't need it anymore. So we'll put that aside. And now we've got all of our little pieces here. So you can use your take your pick tool. I don't have it over on this desk. Okay, to push out your little butterfly. And of course, it's going to cause me issues today. Come on, let's poke out. There we go. How cute are those? 1, 2, and I have a 3rd one. It's hiding here somewhere. I did do 3. We lost one. She jumped away. It's inevitably going to be on the floor. Will likely be where it is. But I think I know how I want this to go. So I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. We'll pop this one up on dimensionals using the edge of my dimensional sheet, because the edges are the same thing as the rest of the dimensional sheet. So it doesn't hurt to use that because it works just the same. Okay. 2, 3, 4. And get these backings off. 3, 4. They're not on there perfectly today, but that's okay. Nobody will know. From the bottom. And I like it. Put that to the one side. Okay, so I'm going to put my big thanks on here. Up in the top 1/3 of my card. Put that on nice and straight. And then I'm going to grab these little butterflies. I'm going to use some of my Tombow glue with my nifty holder, 3D printed holder my husband made me. It's a very cool tool. Put some glue. Oop, that one was ready to go. I just want to put a touch of glue. So I have put my Tombow glue inside of a precision tip glue tip, but I just don't have it at this desk right now. The other thing I would do is curve the edges of these little wings so they have a little bit more of a 3-dimensional feel to them. So I'm going to put one there. And the way I would curve that is just, you can take it between your thumb and your bone folder, and then you just kind of curve it over, and it makes a nice little curve to the wings there. So I've got 2 of those. Grab a touch more glue. I know it's locked and loaded now. I just need to kind of touch it to the paper and it will do its magic. So big thanks. I'll maybe put one up there right above the thanks. And then I gotta find that other one. It jumped off. You know what? Just gonna pull that machine back in because, you know, I had to go and lose one all when I was trying to get my way. I was trying to get my way there. So let's do one more because we lost one. And I'm gonna get my sandwich right again. Line these up. Got a little bit of glue on my thumb there. Place that underneath, run that through the die cut machine. Come on, grab on. Sometimes it's just the machine wants these to be offset just a touch so that it grabs onto it properly. Come on, there we go. It's coming now. There we go. Okay, and we should have a good butterfly in there. Yep. Ah, there's the other one. It fell in between my little foldy plate here. So, who would have thought it was in there? How does that happen? Okay, so we'll put that aside. I got a good one here. We'll just use this one. Okay. I knew I had cut it. I knew I had. It just went and got itself lost in the track there. Okay. And folding up those edges again. I should have done that before, but I can do it now. Keep my fingers away from that glue. There we go. Got a nice curve on those wings now. We'll pull this back in. Where do we want to put this little one? Probably, yeah, it can fly that way too, but I'm gonna branch it over colorful paper this time. Okay, so there we go. We've got 3 little butterflies flying there. We've got our card base here all ready to go. And then I can just put some dimensionals on the back of this, pop it up. Just shadowing is always so much fun. And it reminds me so much of this demonstrator out of England that used to say, "Dimension is life." And he had this lovely accent. And I used to love listening to him. He's not a Stampin' Up rep anymore, but he is still out there and he is so fun. Okay, so let's get these placed on the back here. We'll save those ones for some really small, finicky stuff. Those little pieces in between are so great for those types of sizes. Stuff, okay. And then we will pull this off. We will pull this off and be done. We'll place this on our card base. Flirty Flamingo card base. And be done. The only other thing I would add to this is maybe some sparkly gems, or I would maybe Wink of Stella the bodies of these little butterflies. But that's a cute card, right? A nice cute little card. And then we have yesterday's card that I can pull in right here that we made. So this one was a really fun one to make yesterday. Just again, using some white card stock as just a starter. But yeah, that's our stuff for today. I'll put some of this stuff away. Maybe pull in that box again. We've got a bit of a messy desk going on here. But yeah, I'll pull the box back in, or let's pull the paper out. Let's pull the paper in because that's a really nice backdrop to what we were working with today. So we've got all this lovely paper that you get in your day two of your advent calendar. So there's what we played with today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspired you, and I hope it makes you think of all the other things you could do with that day 2 paper pack. We'll talk to you again soon. Tomorrow. Okay, bye.